Okay, thank you for your patience. We're starting a little bit late on my board at 6:06. I'd like to officially call this meeting to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Please stand for the pledge, as they say in school. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now a moment of silence as we think about those who've gone before us. Thank you. Okay. Roll call, please, Marie.
Mayor Allen?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Ryan?
Here.
Trustee Alter? Trustee Decker?
Here.
Trustee O'Malley? Here. Trustee Pine?
Here.
And Trustee Welly? Here. Also present is Attorney Gilchrist and Deputy Clerk Steve.
All right. Thank you. I am getting our PowerPoint set up the way I had done over Zoom meetings. This is my first time doing it live, so my apologies for being a little bit late in the meeting today. We have a few announcements to start off with. First off, the rescheduled 30th Annual St. Patrick's Day celebration is this Saturday, the 18th. It's going to be include the 1 p.m. parade, which is going to be huge. 7 different marching bands, emergency trucks, floats, etc. Live music will begin in the park directly after the parade. Vendors, food trucks at the park and in other locations, as well as several other events throughout the village, including the Lewis Miller Museum hosting the Men of War Balladeers on their lawn. Marie, Kevin, is there anything else you guys want to say about this?
No, I don't think so. I think you said it all.
Okay, thank you. There was a lot of confusion online about why we're having the St. Patrick's Day parade in September. Just
Tried to straighten those out a little bit.
add it to another wonky COVID situation.
Lots of information on the Facebook page. Who's where, when, and how. So take a look.
Thank you. So each year the village is required to test water supplies in individual homes for lead and copper tests. We're looking for 40 homes in the village to do this. It's pretty simple. We give you the testing materials and directions, and in the morning, after the water hasn't moved for a while, we just ask you to fill it up and give it back to our water guys. It's pretty harmless, but it's pretty important. We're focused on what they call Tier 1, and the water guys can give more details on this, but it's specifically homes that were built after 1984. This is our first priority. So those homes are typically in Green Heights on Albany, Saratoga, or Mark Drive. They could also be located on Easy Street, Ashley Drive, and there's a few on Rogers and Griffin Avenue that have been that were set up after 1984. So if you are in that group and want to do that, please call the water department at 0200. If you're not in that area, you can still do that, but that's our priority as we search out these annually required tests. It's nice to be talking about water samples that has nothing to do with PFOA for once. And finally, oh yeah, I gave the information before, but it's basically a first draw in the morning, ideally after the water hasn't been used for 6 to 10 hours, but the water guys will give you some more information on that. And one other announcement that will come up later, there has been a request to adjust the parking rules at 53 Elm Street. It will be addressed in the People to be Heard section. That's when we'll turn it over to, is Mr. Ali here?
Yes.
Oh great, when we get to that part of the meeting, that's when we'll turn it over to you and you can speak to the board, and we also have it in the new business section. All right, so we have a presentation from Ryan Weitz of Barton and LaJudas. He is here to present to the board the bid documents that we have received, and this is for the Woodsbrook Drainage Improvement Project. This is one of 2 Woodsbrook projects we have actively going as a result of the 2017 flood. This is the one that we received a grant and are combined with the town of Hoosick. This would work on 2 sites outside of the village in the town that would help control the flow of water should we have significant heavy rains, which, as we're seeing, is happening more and more. Ryan, do you want to summarize or speak to a couple things, and I'll also get your bid documents up?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Mayor. I think I've been in front of you all before talking about the project a bit, but a little bit of background. The Mayor indicated this from a CDBG grant for $900,000 to address flooding issues along the Woods Brook. So this phase of the project, we're looking at a site on Johnson Hill Road and one at the end of Richmond Ave by the golf course. So last I think I was in front of you in the spring, maybe May, we talked about permitting and easements. We've worked through that. We're still working through that with some of the landowner and some regulatory agencies. But we did, given the time of year, choose to move out, go out to bid. Went out to bid a couple months ago and received bids on August 24th. So I think Marie is passing around our recommendation letter and the bid tabulation. We did bid the project as two separate items, not knowing exactly where the prices were going to end up. We've seen a lot of high prices this year. So we did bid the site as two separate items, one as the base bid, one as an alternate that could be chosen if there was enough money. Our estimate for the entire job, both sites, was $770,000. I'm happy to report we received 9 bids, ranging from, as you'll see, a low bid of $556,392 to a high bid of $942,000. So we got really competitive bids, a lot of bids. The low bidder is somebody that we've worked with before on some other projects. They are well qualified to do the job. So our recommendation is that the village make the award to that contractor for both sites, and so that we can get that going and hopefully have construction underway in really a couple months here. Are there any questions on where we're at?
Can you quickly summarize where Site 1 and Site 5 are and what's going to happen? We have some new board members who've popped on the past few months who may not be familiar with this. This has been going for a while.
So Site 1 is on Johnson Hill Road in the town. It's on, there's a curve in the road and a low point in the road. It's between Jim Hogue and Bruce Church's residence, if that makes sense. Mark, how else would you describe it? It's a spot on Johnson Hill Road.
It's that dip in Johnson Hill Road.
But anyways, on that site, that was a site that during the 2017 flooding had overtopped. It's a small arch culvert that is past its useful life. So we are upsizing that. We're proposing to upsize that culvert and raise the road, install guide rail on one side of the road for safety. The other side has a fairly wide shoulder. So that's the work that's going on up at Site 1. And then Site 5 is above the, if you're going down Richmond Ave towards the golf course, right after you can turn up to the golf course, there's gravel extension of the roadway that extends, and on your left is kind of an old mill pond that's been silted in. It's meandered quite a bit. It's causing a lot of bank erosion. So at that site, we will be realigning the creek and armoring the bank, providing floodplains for flood storage, so that that is better capable of handling extreme precipitation events in the future. And really, both of these sites are looking at, we know that there's additional funding and additional work to do down the line within the village where, we see a lot of bottlenecks in the old culvert system. But this is to alleviate a couple of areas upstream that we saw some damages and some issues with in 2017, take care of those, and then as the buyouts and everything wraps up in the village, planning funds to be released at a later date, we'll continue to look for those improvements downtown.
Thank you, Ryan. This is something we started back in 2018?
The first grant we applied for, I think, was in 2015 for a study. That study looked at a number of alternatives, did a hydraulic analysis of the entire watershed. This grant was funded, it was a 2017 application, because we were submitting the application, and I think the floods were about a month before the application went in.
Yeah.
So it all kind of came to a head at the same time. Now, obviously, since then, the whole direction has changed with the buyout program and the state funding for that. But this has been ongoing. This has been work that the village has been focused on, village and town has been focused on for a number of years now. But, as I'm sure you all are aware, working through different state agencies, different levels of permitting, You know, certain things take an extended duration, so we're excited to actually have some construction underway.
Yep.
Hopefully in a couple months here. The low bidder, just to kind of give you a future outlook, pending potential award by the village board tonight, we've been looking at potentially getting underway in October with some preliminary matters. Construction, on-site construction likely mid-month. But the bidder here, depending on a couple supply chain items and the weather, they're confident they can get most, if not all, of the work done this fall. As you know, we know winters being unpredictable as they are. You know, we could run into some issues there that push us over into the spring. We have been in communication with the funding agency, the Office of Community Renewal, about that. They understand where we're at. They're not willing to grant an extension at this point, but as we get closer, as we have throughout the project, we'll stay in close contact with them, the contractor, and work that out as it comes.
Trustees, any questions? So we were initially, yeah, correct, go, please.
So $556,000, $900,000 grant approval. What are we doing with the extra money?
So there's currently $197,000 under contract. Either way, we're going to have about $150,000 in cushion. This is not something that $150,000 the village gets to keep. So we will work with the contractor to look at ways on both sites to essentially spend that money. We don't want to give it back to the state. So there are certain things that through design we either took out or trimmed to get it as close to our budget as possible. So we'll essentially look to spend those funds as much as we can. We are limited in geographic scope, so OCR and the environmental review we did, we cannot go, unfortunately, to another area and do $150,000 worth of work. But we can kind of push the limits a little bit on those two sites and, you know, and do some additional work there that makes sense and as needed.
So you need to apply geographic scope. So you couldn't be down on Main Street where there's a big sinkhole and fix that?
Unfortunately, no. No.
Culvert?
So the environmental review was limited to those two sites, so we can't, with this funding agency in particular, we've run into this before, and they are very strict in that you said you were going to do work at, you know, Johnson Hill Road and at the end of Richmond Ave. Those are the only two sites we can do work at with these funds.
We would have to go through so many steps and requests.
And I don't think at
it would
this
take
point,
forever, and we've been given extensions
yeah.
as it is. It is frustrating to see that maybe some money that could very easily be used in some places go away. At the same time, it's nice to be under budget instead of over budget on one of these projects. So it is nice to have that extra cushion there. And I know we were concerned that one site alone could have used up all the money because so many projects have been coming so much higher than expected, but this seemed to have brought things back down to normal, which is very good.
And that's kind of what we've been seeing across the board. Earlier this year, we saw just numbers that were, I thought our estimate was going to be very low at 770. I thought we were going to be seeing numbers, you know, between there and $1 million. But we've seen bid prices really normalize over the last couple of months, and so it's you know, great to be able to do the work in both sites and, like I said, move on to the next phases of the improvements.
Andy?
One quick question. The two easements that were outstanding for properties in the town?
Those are still outstanding. We have been in touch with both of the landowners, and you know, as we kind of push forward through construction here, we need to wrap those up with those landowners there. We, in coordination with the town supervisor, have been in touch with them, and we feel that we will get over that edge, especially now that, you know, the equipment's coming. You know, that there's a hard and fast deadline, and kind of cut bait.
And we do have all the permits in place. That took a while, but the permits came through.
So are we having to pay the property owners?
We are not, and we cannot through this funding stream. They're actually voluntary, donated temporary easements. Yeah, so there's no cost to the village or the town for those easements, and they've been donated. The landowner in the village has donated theirs, and that's how we're proceeding with the two in the town.
Okay. That's an improvement to their property as well.
Yeah, I mean, there will be benefits to both landowners by this property being completed.
I'm not sure. Any other questions? We have this on our agenda as new business. Andy, there's no problem in jumping to that section, correct?
Correct.
All right, so under new business on page 3 of the agenda, we already have reviewed the bids and we have reviewed the recommendation from B&L. So let me bring up the resolution, which I think I have in another spot. Just 1 second here. So if it's all right with the board, I'd like to move to the resolution. Awarding a construction contract for the Woodsbrook Drainage Improvement Project, Phase 1, and authorizing the mayor to sign contracts. We have been over the majority of the whereas information, explaining where we've come, receiving the 9 bids for the contract, the bid opening. It has been determined that the lowest responsible bid received for contract 1 general construction is a bid from Prime Highway Contractors LLC of Albany, New York, in the amount of $556,392. Now therefore be it resolved that the village board awards the Woodsbrook Drainage Improvement Project Phase 1 contract number 1 general construction to Prime Highway Contractors LLC in the amount of $556,392. And be it further resolved that the village board authorizes the mayor to execute contracts between the village of Hoosick Falls and the contractor at such time that the contracts are finalized and approved for signature. I need someone to introduce the resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Bobby. In a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mayor Allen,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ryan,
Yes.
Trustee Alter,
Yes.
Trustee Walry,
Yes.
Trustee O'Malley,
Yes.
Trustee, that would not be Patton,
Oop,
Decker,
Missed one.
Yes.
and Trustee Pine.
Yes.
We missed one.
Thank you.
My
Okay.
bad. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right. So it has passed unanimously. Ryan, thank you very much.
Thank you. I will send over the notice of award, which requires the village's signature, and then Andy, I'll make sure that you get a copy of the contract documents, and we'll work on getting those executed by the end of the month, hopefully.
Outstanding.
All right.
Outstanding. All right. Let me go back to where we were in the stream here. All right, so I have a few mayor updates to go through. First off, on the list, I just wanted to recap some things that have been going on with the PFOA settlement. This is the Citizens Federal Litigation Class Action Settlement. As I always say, this is something that is completely separate from the village government and our various things that we have been pursuing. This is just the class action for citizens within the village and within the town. A lot has happened recently. I was able to do about an hour and 15-minute long Q&A with one of the lead attorneys, one of the co-leads, Steve Schwartz, and we posted that video on the village Facebook and YouTube page, and there is a link on our homepage. So if you know anyone who is wondering what is going on or has a lot of questions, you can check out that video. And I broke it down into each of the claims that are going on there. So it's a good source of information. We just had 2 local meetings last week. I think they were Wednesday and Thursday in the ice rink. Thank you for the town for hosting us there. It was a great spot. And I'm working on getting audio recording from that meeting so we can also post that as more resources. Timelines have been set. The biggest one is the January 24th, 2022 deadline to file a claim. You're not in this unless you file. And something that they stress that I want to stress as well, there are services set aside to assist people in paperwork and filling out forms, answering questions, and so on. And all of this information is on the website that they have set up, HoosickFallsPFOASettlement.com. Again, this is not something that the village is involved in, but as a local government and someone who has been following this, I want to make sure people know what's out there and they have all the tools at their disposal. It was my honor to speak as the village mayor at Saturday's 9/11 20th anniversary memorial service. Special thanks to Al Borns and all of the first responders who were involved and anyone who's involved in organizing it. It was a very humbling ceremony, thinking back on that event and hearing each person share their individual stories was a really, I think, an important time. I was very glad to be there. I brought my two oldest and they learned a few things, and there's some things that they hadn't known before. It's really important that we just keep remembering that and remembering how sacred our first responders are. We have been talking previously on the Scott Street water line replacement project. We don't have too much to update. We initially were kind of planning it on our own and then realized that the line and project was too big, that we had to go through and get a firm to handle the planning and submit the stamped engineering plans to the county for review. They did that. We used Delaware Engineering and Robert Flores, who's been involved in a lot of sewer and water projects for the village. Currently, those plans are being reviewed by the county DOH, who has to sign off on that, Department of Health. And once that is approved, I think we're pretty much ready to go. Neil and crew are just sort of waiting for the go-ahead. And then we'll be putting a new water line up Scott Street. The reason is it's an older line that has really old material, so that when we replace one part, they fix that and it causes a leak in another part. Then they go fix that and then it causes another leak. And that is exactly what transpired during the month of August, I think that was, early August. So that's gonna be a big thing for that area up there, but we'll make sure they have a heads up that it's coming.
Rob, before you move on, I was
Sure.
gonna save this for later, but,
Yeah.
I spoke to Jim this afternoon. The county just received the plans, so it's gonna be a couple days, a couple weeks.
The county
And
just received
that
that?
is what I was told, and also, we don't have the pipe that will need to be ordered once the plans are approved. So that's gonna be a lead time of next spring, actually.
Next spring. Neil, have we looked into the pipes yet?
It's all news to me.
That was
Okay.
what I heard from Jim today.
Last I heard from Tim was planning for a DOA. That's what we planned.
Okay, I guess we'll touch base with Jim
I
in the
just
morning.
didn't wanna set false expectations.
Yeah, that was, because I was under the impression they would be a couple weeks away.
That raises another point. I got a call from a constituent on that street
Mm-hmm.
that the log trucks are going in and out. I don't know what work they're doing. But the street is just loaded with potholes. And I explained to her everything. I talked to Neil and Jim. Just wondering, Neil, if you could take a look at it tomorrow and see if some of the holes can.
I think it's
I
gonna
mean, I don't know. I guess these log trucks are tearing it up.
well, it was going to be repaved after this new
Well, that's what I told her,
install
yeah.
was, but with this new information,
She
we're gonna
said
have to reassess.
Yeah, and she said the holes are really
It's still
bad.
gonna be paid.
Huh?
It's still gonna be paid probably next week.
No, I know.
Yeah. But
Okay.
now-
Oh,
now
okay.
we'll go through, regrade everything,
Oh, I see.
and everything will be smooth.
Okay, so next week, yeah, I'll relay it, or soon.
Is most of this work side of the road, a couple feet off the road?
Everything we had to do is gonna be off the back now.
Off the blacktop. Oh, good, that's great. Forgot that. Thank you, Neil. So a quick update on the second Woodsbrook program. This is the Woodsbrook buyout program. This is where the state gave us money to purchase and demolish houses in the village, specifically in the area of Main Street and Hall Street and at the end of the culvert on Elm Street. We had put out bids at a previous meeting for demolition. We have received those bids. We are not looking to act on those bids now. What we have to do is finalize which exact properties will be taken down and demolished. We have currently acquired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're waiting for a 6th from the county. We're waiting to close on a 7th. And there's a little piece of land we have to grab off of another property if they're still interested in doing that.
There may be time to do that.
There may be, or there may not be
There
time.
may not be.
Okay. So that would be a maximum of 7 properties. I know we had talked about the large one on the corner of 114 Church Street that is not part of it. And the building that is attached to it is one that we own that will come down. But it's not really attached, it's like cosmetically attached. It's really kind of its own thing with a little bit of, so that's not an issue. The good news is because we're going with fewer properties than we had originally planned for, that freed up money in the budget to be able to have companies come in and do all of the demo work, which means we don't have to have any of our DPW guys and their time used on that. We have the funds to have someone come in and do it and haul it and take care of it. Mark, is there anything else, or Andy, you want to mention about those bids?
Not so much with bids, ambient environmental is in the process now of doing the asbestos testing. What we're trying to coordinate is getting the ownership of, well, we already got the okay from the county to go into 115. 107, the owner wants to be there, which I'm not sure why she wants to be there. So we have to coordinate that, and so I have to talk to the guys who are working out here to see how we can coordinate that to get them in. And then we also have to, I got the okay from the county to go ahead and disconnect the electric on 115, but we have to disconnect the electric on 107 also. We need those things in process. And depending on how the asbestos comes back, whether or not, how much is involved, and there may be some additional costs there if we have to get a mediation company involved, get rid of some asbestos. So I did talk to them about that. They work closely. They do not, does not do mediation, but they work closely with some companies that do. And so I think we'll be able to move quickly if we need to do that. All this we're trying to bring together to try and get it done in December. Have everything done. So I think we really need to. Time is of the essence for closing on 107.
Yep.
115, I'm pretty comfortable with. The county's going to be, they've started the process. Talked to Bill Film, he's going to walk stuff over to the 5th floor, I think we refer to it as, to get that deed put into the building's name.
Okay.
Andy and I have been talking to him pretty regularly, he's involved, and we've been talking pretty regularly and stuff, so we're trying to stay on top of everything to bring it all together.
And I know we've been disconnecting water, sewer lines, and that sort of thing.
Took charge on that and getting all the water
Thank you.
disconnected.
Yeah.
So you're talking the 2 on Main Street, is that correct? 107, 115?
Correct.
Yes.
And then Hall Street?
3, 5, and 7 Hall Street.
All on the same side.
Yep.
110 Church Street.
Which is the house next to one across from Eastern, next to 114.
Correct. It's the one that looks like it's connected.
Yep. And then the old panel building?
27 Elm Street, that's the end.
That's the largest. That's
Right.
really I think that one, and actually the 2 Main Street properties were a little bit challenged too. Because, you gotta remember the properties dropped right off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 115, you got some stuff going on with the culvert.
Yeah, this is a big deal. It's been 4 years in the making. It's nice to know that in the beginning of 2022, these properties will be down. They'll be owned by the village. We have additional money to finance a small planning grant to come up with a plan for what we can do with that area. And once we have that grant done, then we can sort of look to either apply for a bigger grant to finalize that area, or make further decisions. But that'll be a 2022 thing. Right now,
So
we're
it's
getting
been a team effort as far as trying to pull everything together.
absolutely, yeah.
So when we do take down the properties on Main Street, it's quite a slope. What is the plan for backfilling and some kind of fence for that area?
Well, Neil, we haven't been able to do anything there because we haven't owned the property. Once we have title, what's stopping us from fill?
I know that Mark and Neil and I discussed that. That was in the bid spec for the demo work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when they do the demo work, they're gonna fill that in?
They're gonna slope that back off of Main Street.
Okay,
heading.
okay. And that will take care of that.
So
We still may want to discuss a fence when we're all said and done.
hopefully it won't be orange fence.
I think we could probably do something.
We can do better.
I mean, the orange fence has kind of worked well on a pinch here.
Rob, I have a question.
Not the 3-year pinch? Yeah.
Just on the Woodsbrook
Yeah.
buyout in general.
Yeah,
You gotta have it done by the end of the year.
correct.
This is our September meeting.
Yep.
What actions are required from the board to let all of this begin? Because we're not meeting again until October.
And
Okay.
you want to take that? We've
Or-
talked through
Sure,
this.
so the projected timeline would be the award for the asbestos investigation was already done, and the company's out.
You know what, I gotta add to that, because no, we did not approve 115 and 107, because we didn't own those at the time.
Yeah, but
That's
I did-
correct.
So I did communicate with them to get another price, so we're gonna need approval to keep moving on that, if that's something that, I don't know, if it's something the board can approve, that the mayor
Well,
can
you
sign
can't approve it
off on.
without having the numbers in front of them, so anticipating a potential quick special meeting, the governor has now allowed remote meetings, so that's an option. You can set up a
Okay.
remote meeting to act on that.
They
Keep the-
promised to have those numbers to me this week.
To keep the asbestos work going. The demo bids are in. They did include all of the properties, including 107 and 115,
Yes, they did.
anticipating that the village would have title. In the event that the board has, and I will add, Denise has been doing a boatload of work in this, as
Yeah.
Mark and Neil, have all those reviewed, and a recommendation on an award for your October meeting, that would allow adequate time, because once they're mobilized in the field, given the tightness of where all these are coming down, they'll do all the work in the field. That would give them October into November for demo work and site stabilization. The goal will be to have all of this done prior to Thanksgiving, quite frankly, prior to the end of November.
So the action is get the bids reviewed for the demo work and make a decision on those
October meeting.
October meeting.
prior to October meeting, so we can be ready to do it in October.
That's correct.
Right.
We gotta get it done now.
We'll pull the trigger on the approving the which buildings we're tearing down and for how much according to the bids. At the October meeting, we'll already have the asbestos bids for the new properties
Right.
up.
Just one modification. All the buildings are coming down. Okay, this is not deciding which ones come down.
All of them.
Will be coming down
Right.
prior to.
It's just getting everything lined up for the one from the county and the one they're working on closing.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and then ideally we're shooting for having everything down by November, which gives us about a month. We lose a little bit with the holidays.
It just seems like quite a bit of stuff to get done before the October meeting.
We
Prior
met.
to I can tell you that acquisition of the remaining 2 parcels, 115 Main from the county is at this point fairly ministerial.
Yeah.
The 107 Main property has been under contract. It was the intent of the village to have closed that at the end of 19, or strike that at the end of 20, strike that at the end of 19, early 20.
What? Yeah.
Property owner had requested some additional time to get some personal belongings out, and then the pandemic shutdown hit. It delayed that closing, but that is still under contract.
Mhm.
All of the review by the state under the grant agreement was completed for that contract.
So what can we do to accelerate that, to be ready to do it before October?
Well, between now and the October meeting, I would anticipate having closings on both of those
I
parcels.
guess I'm talking all the other decision making, like we know.
Well, the additional asbestos work on 115 and 107, that should be subject to a special meeting that can be held virtually, and that as soon as those numbers are being reviewed, that can happen probably as early as next week.
Yeah.
And then the bids have already, for demolition, is my understanding, have already started to be reviewed,
Yeah, we have the bids in.
and all that will get done and an award recommended prior to the October meeting for the trustees review, so that it's lined up to act at the October meeting. And that's really kind of the end of the board's authorization. We need to coordinate with the state on some of this, on the 2 closings, we'll get that done. And then it's just field work by the contractors to get all that done. Having said that, though, it's still a lot of work for Mark and Denise, grant administration, and Neil. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of crunch time, so it does seem like all of a sudden there's a lot, but it is crunch time, and we're coming right out to it now, so.
Yeah.
A lot of preliminary stuff's been done, and now it's just a matter of pulling all together.
And when did we meet? Was that in August? Was it July or August when we had that meeting in the courtroom?
I think it was July.
We kind of worked out the schedule from backwards to yeah. So we're in good shape, but it is crunch time, and it's been a lot of work that you guys have been doing in the office. So thank you. We are hoping to have next meeting the introduction of a local law regarding sidewalk snow removal. Meg and Deb, I wanted to give you guys, the three of us, one last shot at it over the next week, and I'll email it out tonight. Once we feel like we're in good shape with the language, then I want to forward it on to the full board for review. And then in October, we would introduce that local law. And like all local laws, we introduce it, we set a public hearing, likely for the November meeting. At the November meeting, we will have a chance for anyone to sound off on it, and we'll have all the documents online way ahead of time so people can review it. And then once we have completed the public hearing, the board can go the entire spectrum. They can approve the law right then and there, they can table it and wait for another meeting, or they can scratch it and go back to the drawing board. So that's our latest on the local law. And finally, I wanted to talk about the new bond on the water sewer bills. And first off, I wanted to reiterate something that I put out when the discussion came up on Facebook. When the water sewer bills went out, there was an additional expense that was not really explained well, and it was all of a sudden an extra $30, which rightfully freaked people out. So there were a lot of questions on Facebook. I was camping in the Adirondacks and went out to just kind of check in my email and saw my Facebook had exploded. And I realized that I had done a really poor job of making sure people knew what was going on. We have been talking about the sewer project and the upcoming bond in meetings, and it has been, covered in the press, but I made a very poor assumption that everyone knew it was coming, and that was all my mistake, so my apologies on that. I wanted to reiterate that tonight like I did on Facebook, because there was a lot of question and confusion. We already had a sewer bond from a project back in the mid-2000 decade. And I think it was 2005 to 7 is when that was going up. We'll go over that in a minute. So this became an additional bond. It wasn't a change in the price of the previous bond. This was a second bond. So what I wanted to do briefly, and I didn't get all the information together, but I wanted to talk a little bit briefly about all of the various bonds that we have going on right now. So if you guys can bear with me. I wanted to kind of briefly talk through the various bonds that we have, just so the information is out there, and I'll make this a little bit more easy to use later. The first, we have two water bonds. They show up on the water and sewer bill as one bond combined. This was the project that got us the new water treatment plant and new wells. I want to say this was, the building was finished in 2007, but the project had been going on for a couple of years before and a couple of years after. The initial cost of that was the $8.5 million, you see at the top there. We took out a 30-year bond, and the first payment of that bond was in August of 2011. We do one payment a year. So that means 30 years. The final payment will be in 2040. Once that is paid off, that will disappear off of our water sewer bills. I know, 2040, just a little bit of time. And the way that that is computed is we have a certain cost each year that we have to pay on a principal. This is one that we bond out to anybody on the water sewer system. And there's an amortization schedule that lists out how much is done each year, and then we divide that, and that's how it comes up to each person paying what they do for each. So an interesting thing happened on that project. When they do, is it the bond resolution, they set a cap, a maximum amount of money they can spend on the project. Well, somehow along the lines, and this is well before I was involved in village government, they exceeded it, so they had to do a second water bond. and it went for an additional $470,000. So this is a second water bond, and that's where these two are added together. So this is a 30-year bond as well. The first time they paid it was 2016, and the final year of that is 2045. This is a significant smaller amount. And if I can just check quickly the notes that Denise gave me. This is where I'm getting a lot of this information off of. I'm trying to make it a more presentable area. Each year we pay approximately $15,700 on that versus the $266,000 for the principal payment on that one. So let me go back to this for a minute. So we have two water bonds. They show up on the bill as the one water bond, and as you can see, we have many years to go on that. On the flip side of the water infrastructure is sewer infrastructure. The first sewer project happened almost immediately after Laura Reynolds became mayor. And the reason for that, and the reason for actually the previous projects I should have mentioned, is these are almost always dictated by state requirements. There are various requirements on various plants and things that are going on in infrastructure. Within the first, I think, month to month and a half of Laura Reynolds being mayor, DEC slapped the village with a consent order saying that they need to make fixes on some things immediately. And that became a requirement. So what came of that was the sewer plant and the additional infrastructure down in the sewer plant area. This was a $6 million project. The first payment was in 2008. It is also a 30-year bond. We currently owe $4.8 million on it, and our final payment will be in 2037. Additionally, as we were facing some other sewer infrastructure needs and the unspoken threat of a consent order is probably safe to say, we, before my time, started a sewer project in scope and design around 2015 and 16. When I started in 2017, we were able to go through the design phase, put it out for bid, all panic at how high the bids came back. We rebid it and ended up saving a pretty good amount of money. This was the recent sewer project that happened along the Greenway northern end from approximately where the laundromat is north all the way to the wastewater treatment plant. They installed a new force main, which is basically the big pipe that takes everything to the sewer plant. And they used directional drilling horizontally under the Greenway. So not much of the Greenway was disturbed, which was a really neat technology to learn about. And additionally, there was some pump stations, new pump stations installed, some work around the Lyman Street area, which also led to that whole debacle about, oh, we hit the groundwater and now it's a super fun site. But anyway, that total project was $3.8 million. Our first payment is actually this year, so the final payment actually will be 2050. And this is what caused us to have an additional increase of $30 a month or $90 a year to every person on the sewer who pays for sewer and water.
The bills aren't monthly,
No, their bills are every 4 months, so there's 3 bills a year. So the bills increased by like $30 to $31.
right, it's not per month.
$31.55. It's not monthly, right? So each year it's going to add about $95 of expense. And again, going back to, I should have gotten some information out. I should have had a letter out in the bill prior and in the bill this one, just reminding people. So that is my mistake, and my apologies on that. We have talked as a board about all of the debt that we have, and we're very aware of it. There's some things, some other smaller bonds that we have for the 2017 floods. That was an extra expense that FEMA did not cover because they ruled that the flood was a bunch of different events instead of one big event. So we ended up having to bond that out. A couple other smaller ones which I have details on, but I just wanted to get this information out. I want to talk to the board about it, make sure it's on our radar. I can briefly talk about the other smaller bonds if you want. I know I've talked a lot of time, but I just want to get that information out there. The one thing I want to mention about all of these is they're all 0% interest rates. We've made these larger ones here because we're going through the state's EFC. So Sorry, I did a whole bunch of talking there, but I know it's an important topic. Any questions, trustees, on that?
No, I think it's a good thing that every time something comes up, we talk about how much we have, what we
Absolutely.
already have,
Yep.
before we make decisions on everything. So
Yep.
we're not just like, what the heck, we're gonna have a barn.
So we are at the people to be heard section. Thank you for letting us bounce around. As a reminder, when we do the people to be heard section, each meeting is audio recorded. My phone is right there, and we post the audio recordings on our YouTube channel. When you are called upon, please begin with your full name and street address, and then you can share or speak to or ask questions about whatever you would like to discuss. Mr. Ali, I know you had wanted to speak to us about parking. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Take it away.
I purchased that Elm Street property. There's a sign, there's a 2-hour parking there in front of the sign for the salon that used to be there. So I'd like it to say 15 minutes so that, you know, the customers, my customers now that are going to be going there, you know, I don't have somebody parked out for 2 hours, you know, blocking the whole front of the shop. So I need it to be, you know, I'd like to say 15 minutes and parking, you know, Monday through Sunday.
I'm sorry, where was this? On Elm Street.
53 Elm Street.
It's where artistic hair used to be.
So he owns,
Attorney McGuire's business.
I know where it
he
is.
owns the Village Pizzeria. They're going to move there.
Look
Nice.
during the planning board or zoning board meeting for.
Seems like that's where it should be.
Parking?
Yeah.
We did talk about it.
Yeah,
I didn't even know. It's interesting.
we knew there was parking there.
Right.
I don't think we didn't talk about 15 minutes.
Just a little bit of history, we had an issue with the artistic hair design with some of the neighbors there. I don't know what you call it.
Mr. Whedon.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, and you've talked to him.
Yes.
You've talked to him.
Yes.
I think,
I'm not interested in bothering him, you know, I guess if, you know, my customer shouldn't park in front of his building, I guess.
Actually, I think it was the other way around where he was.
Yeah, his tenant was parked
International
out.
parking in front of the beauty salon.
Right.
That was the issue.
became a little bit more.
Yes.
so, but I think the intent of putting the 2-hour thing there was to make it inconvenient for somebody to park there all day long.
And live
in
there.
front of their business. Not that 2 hours was a miracle time or anything.
So with parking, that's determined by local law, which means if we're going to modify the parking, we have to go through all the local law procedures, which was introduced in local law, put it out for public hearing, vote on it after the public hearing, correct?
That is correct, so it's part of the traffic or parking regulations. It would need to go through the local law process. There are some local laws that the village has on parking restrictions in various locations. One of the things that the local law, if we can call it committee, is looking at is traffic and parking issues, trying to consolidate all those local laws and get a plan together. So your comments are timely. I know that certain trustees are looking at that right now.
Is that just for one spot or two?
I'd like to be able to park, you know, 3 cars in front of the store. The sign actually sits closer to the tracks. So it's like not really halfway in front of the building, but, you know, maybe just over 3/4 of the way in front of the building. So I was wondering if we could move the sign forward to the edge of my building at least.
Is, you have any off-street parking there? Is that where the scale used to be?
The scale is, yeah, there is a little bit of parking there, but not a whole lot, you know.
You need some for employee parking.
What's that, Mike?
You need some for employee parking. Like out the back, on the side, kind of where the scale was, and a little bit in the back. And you might be able to work something out too for employees out in the back. You know, that space isn't really being used at all right now, but you can't really count on that down the road.
Is that your property out back as well?
I own, like 10 feet off, there's a mini wall back there, I don't know what you call it, but I own almost 10 feet off of that wall into the driveway of the building behind me.
Right.
And Mr. Whedon told me he owns all of that property back there up to the train track.
So you have access to parking on the rail tracks too there? Or is that-
Well, we wouldn't park next to the tracks, but in front of the building, sure, on the side of the building, yeah. And then behind
walk to the parking that's next to the armory for people who are all day.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You have to
I
cross
thought
the
that
tracks.
employees
It's
to park
like-
where the Blue Flame,
it's not-
employees used to park. In front of their office and they can walk.
Right,
to
so
the
there's
job.
plenty of parking on Elm Street, it's all
And the
around.
American House was.
Yes.
I think the thing is that we've been having this parking issue all over downtown now, especially since, more stores and stuff. So that's something, I mean, we started working on the snow removal, because winter is coming, and that's been a problem. The parking, we're gonna be looking at the big picture of parking,
Right.
probably very soon.
Okay. Well, I mean, I also own a Wilder Ave property that has no parking during snow emergencies, but underneath that sign, it says no parking anytime. But, when I first purchased the property, I parked out in front of the building, and the chief, Ash, is it Ash? Pulled up and he kind of told me I had to move, and I couldn't park on that side of the street. I had to park on the other side of the street.
Forever in front of us.
Yeah.
So, but I said to him, well, the same signs are on the other side of the street, so how can I park over there but not over here? I don't live in the property, so it really didn't bother me. We just parked across the street, but again, the law says you can't park there, you can't, but you can on the other side, and it says the same thing.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things for me, being new to village government, was how parking works, how long it takes to adjust it, and how it tends to open up several different layers of cans of oh no. So we have your comments. We're already looking at parking laws right now. We will look over it. We'll probably check in with Mark or the town assessor to take a look at property lines, and we'll look at that. We'll probably be in touch, and I guess we'll determine if we want to do something small for this situation, or if we want to lump it in with the whole parking.
Well, I think we have to look at the big picture first. And I think if it's not too costly to get this out, then some kind of expert in. But I think that expert is would, and if we don't get an expert, then we need to ask, we need to be have open meetings to get input.
Yeah.
Before we actually make them open.
Yeah, I like that process
so
too.
we know what people need.
Which is a more timely process, but a more thorough process. So we may want to look at one or two issues and hit them real fast with a quick local law, knowing that we're working on an overall local law as well.
The other thing is that the local police have to
Enforce that, but
enforce
no one
any
quite knows what the
laws
laws are
and
now.
that's been a problem.
Yeah. So we've received, this is perfect timing for your comments. Probably it would be good to check in with the village office in about 2 to 3 weeks to see what we're looking at doing, and if we have any questions about properties, and we'll be working on something.
Yeah. I mean, when I purchased the property, obviously it was a stay in Hoosick Falls, so, I bought Wilder Ave as well, and then I had two sons that also bought properties in the village. So we certainly, and I don't live in the village, I actually live in the brick. So, the village has been really good to me, but, I definitely want to make sure that, I can still operate and function.
Yep.
at my
Yes,
new-
of course, that's the whole point.
Absolutely. And we hear you, and we want to support our local businesses. We're so glad that you've been investing in the village. Just,
I'm glad you're coming closer.
yeah, give us some patience, because this will be a process, but we
Okay.
hear you loud and clear.
There's one other question, garbage. Now, I pay for garbage there,
Yes.
so I have my own dumpster, but I also, there's a bond in my taxes for garbage as well, correct?
Yes.
So I still have to pay the bond and pay for the monthly dump fees?
We've run into this before with industrial locations. Commercial locations also having the bond. I know this has come up, and I think that is built into the local laws that dictated that. You're not the first person to bring that up and ask that question. I still feel like you're entitled to use a garbage can or recycling can at that location, but we're also aware that you're also privately doing your own dumpster. Unfortunately, there's no way set up right now to uncheck that one thing for just the few commercial uses.
Yeah, but, the cans that I have there wouldn't even,
I know,
I got
yeah.
a big can over at the other
Yeah.
place, so, okay. That's fine.
Thank you. What, anyone else? Anyone else like to speak?
When are you thinking
Oh.
of, are you keeping both places up?
No, I'm leaving the Church Street property. I bought the Elm Street to move
You
into.
mean the Main Street property?
Yes, the Main Street property. You guys are talking about too many properties.
When do you anticipate opening? Okay.
They're laying the tiles this week, and I mean the place is almost done. I mean we banged it out pretty fast.
You need to see all.
So I mean once it's done, you know, we're not probably in another month. I'm going to say by the end of this month it'll be finished, and then probably one more month after that, and then we'll make the move.
Great.
Yeah, I'm glad to be close by.
Thank you. Marion?
I'm asking, again, for help, but this has been an ongoing issue with me, and so I'm bringing you pictures. I'm asking for an emergency line item, so when it comes to storms, branches, and this has been our backyard, and we don't have a tree on our backyard, but they've all come in our yard. And we are 70 years old.
You got one? Do you have one for Andy?
For Andy right here.
Thank you.
And these are what we've had to clean up, 70-year-old people, and luckily we have good neighbors to help us. But I know way back I mentioned, I think when it comes to these storms, which we've had some good ones this year, I know the last storm, it was 3 properties alone on our hill. I hate to have my back to people, I'm sorry, and I talk loud. 3 people alone on our hill that literally had trees down and things like that. And so many other areas, villages have branch removal. I know we've heard that that can't be done because you don't have enough help, but I think there needs to be an emergency line for these storms and things, because we're having a problem. Yes, we've invested in chippers and things like that because we don't have a truck to bring things to the dump, and that's been an investment on our part to help us, but a lot of people are in this situation when these storms come through, and we've had some doozies, and this is just this year, the pictures this year. And I know you have hired another person on the road, people, and again, I'm now just asking for an emergency line to be put in for storm clearance of these things for people, because not everybody can bring their branches to the landfill or even down here. We cannot do it. I mean, like I said, we've had to find alternative measures, but not everybody has a truck, and we've had some good ones this year.
All right. Anything else?
And when do you do your budget? Because I'd like to be able to follow up on this.
Budget process, we will be working on the budget either in December or January. We put out our tentative budget in,
Usually.
there's a state dictated date that we have to have it out by.
In or out?
February or March, and in the first April meeting is when we'll have our,
Well, I guess I want to be there to remind that really I think this is a strong item that needs to be included, because this is an ongoing problem in our village.
all right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
Is there a local law, we could, about if a tree falls on property A, property B, property B is responsible for getting rid of it? Is that the problem?
No, if it's in property A, I mean, this would be all private citizens' responsibilities, assuming they're all
Right.
private citizens, but if a tree from property A falls on property B, it's property A's. That's my non-lawyer
Well,
thought.
they're in the same situation. They didn't have truck. We're not complaining
But
about
that-
the neighbors that took care of this.
Yeah.
Because we've had neighbors come around us, and for us to even have our dog go out to the fenced-in yard to go to the bathroom in one of the storms, he could not get out our back door. But luckily, we have wonderful neighbors where we are that helped us chop up so we could at least get out, and then, go ahead.
Well, what we're saying is we would like to be able to just move the brush to the street and have it picked up and all.
Yeah, understood.
We're not asking for cleanup. What we're asking is, and I time when he was sick.
Right.
Because I had to get rid of it somehow.
Yeah.
But, I just think, I'm going beyond our own means to say, I really think it is an issue in our village. And we're trying, I mean, you're developing downtown, why not make our whole community look good? And I mean, even down the street from us, you can see where, one house has a bunch of branches and everything on the middle of their lawn. And because I don't think she has a truck either to get rid of it. And all I'm asking is that just during these storms, when we get hit bad like this, it's hard for people.
Yeah, no, I get it, no, I understand.
Yep.
You know, I'm not asking for the village to come clean up. We've done it, and like I said,
Pick up and haul is what you're asking for in emergency situations. It's always a question of work hours and it's a question of cost. When we had a situation like that with the storm in 2017, I think we actually did do a little bit of pickup, but that was also extra expense of picking it up, extra expense of taking care of it. And because FEMA didn't cover it, that ended up being an extra expense that we had to bond out, and we've been budgeting to cover that. But yeah,
if you
that's
put
what
a
you're
line
saying.
item in there now and possibly,
Then it becomes
possibly
available.
at least it could be a
Yep.
start for you to
Thank
help
you.
your community.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yep. All right, trustees, you have the reports. You have the treasurer's report. What's that? And there wasn't anybody else, right? I want to make sure I gave it a chance. I thought there was no one else supposed to speak. Awesome. No, all good, all good. Treasurer's reports. Did you want to comment on anything on the treasurer's report? Anything you want to highlight on the treasurer's report? Denise has been working like crazy all the time.
Yeah, Denise is, I don't really know how she does it, but.
That's,
Yeah, I mean, she does such a good job. Everything's under control. We'll talk about some things that
we've talked
I've
about a
been
lot of
working
stuff.
on when we get to that.
All right. Trustees, do you have any questions on the treasurer's report? If not, I will take a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Do we have an ETA on the back truck?
Neil, that was something that you reminded me to bring up with the back truck. Did we ever officially pull the trigger on doing the back truck?
Yes,
What do you mean,
yes,
pass a resolution that we buy it?
Yes.
yeah. We've
Have we?
we've got the bond.
I thought we did that before we agreed to.
Was that
bond.
a meeting I wasn't here
We,
for?
right, but have we bought it?
Have we purchased it
Physically.
yet?
Do we own it?
Is it here?
Not yet.
This week is the end of the 30-day stop.
The stop.
Yeah.
So when that period ends, that's when we can buy it?
Yes.
Yes.
So Neil, there's nothing the board has to act on until once that period's over, we're okay to purchase it.
That's
We've
my
already,
recollection too.
that's
was
already been all
approving the purchase.
Okay.
of
We're just waiting for
bonds.
that, and then
Right.
the
Yeah.
bonds will come in.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Craig. Looking for a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Bobby. He got me, he was closer. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Passes. Police report. I know the chief, normally at these meetings he's unable to be here. Bobby, do you want to highlight anything?
Sure, just the total calls for August for, I just kind of moved the typo. No, it's 144, I'm sorry, year to date, it's 1,105 for 2020. The only thing Bob wanted me to mention was that, he's looking for the board's approval to get a cost for the installation of cameras for dash cams for the police cars, for front dash, back dash, and the back seats. It's approximately, he feels it's going to be estimated like $2,000. The camera's going to be coming via grant, but they're not going to cost any cost to the village. He's looking for our approval to go ahead and get a cost, the exact cost on the installation.
Have we already approved that we're gonna have cameras on the cars?
We are getting cameras from the county. So what will simply need to happen is we need to have someone physically do the installation on the vehicles.
Yes,
Correct.
that's correct.
It would be out of the police budget, and it would be a specialized service. And if it's around 2,000, what is our?
It's subject to the village's procurement policy, we can check that.
It's
Simply
under
getting a number of
procurement
quotes, that's all.
policy.
Right, it's enough, the cameras, the bond, or I'm sorry, the bond, the grant is for 4 vehicles, so, you know, we only have 3 current.
Right.
So, I believe we'll have
So,
an extra set.
so we'll need a quote. We'll need 1 or we'll need 3 quotes.
It's something to check, I'm sure it's.
Under 5,000.
I think if Chief can get us a quote.
Yeah, that's what he just wanted the okay to go ahead and do that, yes.
Absolutely. What
Yeah.
is required under the village procurement policy?
Okay.
And in that special meeting that we're likely going to have in a week or 2, we'll make sure that's on there.
Okay. Okay. And the other thing is, as far as the body cams, we got ourselves and the sheriff's department, because the sheriff's department submitted the grant on behalf of us, and both us and the sheriff's department didn't make it in round 1, but they're resubmitting for round 2, and we should be getting awarded the cameras in round 2.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Hey Neil, could you shut that door like halfway so we have fewer bugs coming in? If you guys want chairs, there's some extra chairs over here. I'm sorry. I just want to reduce the mosquito. I see everybody's swatting. That's good. That's good, Mark. Thank you. Anything else about the police report you want to ask about? If not, I'll take a motion. Oh, Kevin?
Can we add a couple things to the service calls, like parking tickets and speeding tickets?
Sure.
So we can know, how many are being written?
Yes.
Yes, I close.
There's traffic, but you want to break traffic up and see that each. Okay, yeah, I can do
If
that.
if traffic is 9 parking tickets and 9 speeding, then we don't have enough.
I would agree. I would agree. All right.
I'd also like, and just, I know the job's not here, but, it would be really nice to see the cops out on foot sometimes, walking around in neighborhoods.
It's always nice to see them on events, walking around.
Events, on normal days,
Yep.
on, just not just sitting in their vehicles or.
I know Officer Wagner is, on occasion, he's only working 1 or 2 days a week, but he's in the bicycle around town.
Cool.
But he's only part-time, so.
I will pass it on, make sure that happens more.
It was in that report, it was a suggestion that.
Yep.
That we approved.
Yep. Thank you.
So that.
Looking for a motion to approve the police report.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Craig. Need a second?
Second.
Second of Bobby. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed or abstentions? Carries. Code enforcement report. Mark.
Anybody have any questions? My report's there.
No?
Continue to be busy. The transition with the new computer server is proving to be a little bit of a challenge, but
Yes.
Frustration for all of us. But yeah, besides that, we're just rolling with punches. It's pretty busy. And and I noticed it myself. There's some cases that kind of keep getting shoved to the bottom of the pile. A little more intensive as far as the various involved. I'm trying to keep up with the daily stuff. I am doing the best that I can. It's why I want to.
I see you out there.
I'm here to help you.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Hey, Mark,
All that stuff.
it's been going on for, I don't know how many years now. The number 1 7th Street, I don't think there's any resolution to that.
It's a county-owned property.
Well, I don't think the county owns it, they're trying to negotiate with
Well,
bankruptcy
no,
court.
you're right. You're right. It's soon to be a county-owned property.
Yeah, I wish there was something we could do about the condition.
I have an open case. I've submitted. I've done stuff. I've gone as far as citing back and forth.
So we could actually we could weed whack and clean up around the property, though, couldn't we, put it on the property owner, even though he's in bankruptcy?
Yes, we could.
It just looks pretty bad, especially if, people are going to the town to go to Unihog or.
No, I don't disagree. It's definitely getting overgrown, especially on the Elm Street side, but around the whole thing.
Neil Jerry's normally who does that?
We've
Unless
never,
it's booked.
I've never really, I do use those guys for other properties, but I've never put them on that. We could. I
For
mean,
community service, you mean, Mark?
not necessarily, no, we've been hiring, we split between Granger and Collis and to do things, and then we charge it against the property. And when the property changes hands, those bills are supposed to be paid, or we do also re-levy.
And also the property where the American House was owned by the county, so that, you add that into the list as well. Maybe you can charge the county for it.
I'm not sure we want to head down that road just yet.
Well, maybe the county can convey the property to the pizza place and then.
Yes.
Is that the one with the abandoned trailer on it? We gotta see it,
Yeah, we have a guy that's decided he has, I don't know, I mean, he must own like 8 vehicles. He's parking them all in different places around the village. And now on that spot, he's got a utility trailer and a fifth wheel camper.
Are they registered?
Seriously?
Bob and I talked about it today.
Oh, I gotta bring that one up.
They fit on the trailer, they just snap on the trailer. But they were down here in town.
No, just do see things that, continue to mention to me. We know, it's busy. I try to deal with the stuff as it comes in. I think, Craig just mentioned something tonight I wasn't aware of. Sometimes I am aware of it, I'm aware of it.
Okay.
I'm not always aware of it.
Mark, do you know what's happening with the building that, the truck went through? The one with-
Yes, they are very close to getting their insurance payment.
Oh, that's
They're thinking the insurance company, they've been dragging their feet due to the cost of supplies. So they believe that they're very close to getting that, so they can start working on that.
Okay, and then I can't call it any lot, the empty bank? It's on the other side of HR 42.
Well, we're just waiting for that to wash out, so that we have to do something.
And we can't find somewhere else?
We cannot get in touch with the owner. We've tried.
It's 48 class, right?
We're very limited with what we can do. If
He
we
must have family. I mean, if he's locked up.
So I did notice a move that
You can find David Gardner, you can find him.
go up toward the insurance agency. I gotta go back and compare my pictures. I actually think part of the top of the wall, I was doing an inspection of the insurance agent building. I think the top of the wall, just the other side of that fence, has fallen off. But I'm not sure if that's new damage or if that was like that. I just did that inspection last week.
Any other questions from Mark? Looking for motion to approve the code enforcement report?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Deb. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Thank you, Mark. I don't know why I have it out of order, but the next one in ours is a community service report. Community service has started back up, which is awesome. I spoke with Jerry this evening. They did work in the town offices, police station, parks, outside tasks at St. Mark's and some sidewalk edging. They're looking to do some more in the municipal building and the village office side soon. They've probably done about 30 man-hours so far, and they're working to increase it as things get moving again. So I'm looking for motion to approve the community service reports.
Motion.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Deb. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Carries. Clerk, deputy clerk report. Anything you want to highlight?
Still processing August utility bills and some property tax bills.
They did get slammed after the two PFOA settlement lawsuits because people are looking for documentation, and one of the approved one is water bills from a certain date. So they.
But he said on the night I was there it could be anything.
Yes, but they're still getting. There's particular dates you can use, but I think I don't know how far back they're allowed, but basically.
He's trying to use the one I just got.
2015.
No, they say you can use the current one that you get. It's just saying that you pay a water bill for this property.
Right, but a lot of people have been asking specifically for the 2015 one for some reason.
Yeah,
Not
because-
everybody saves their paid water.
Because it says you have to own the property.
Because the village has it on records.
Oh, okay, that makes
You
sense.
say ours.
So, thank you for handling that title waive. Sorry about that. Any questions for the clerk, deputy clerk? Looking for motion to approve their report?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And thank you, Craig. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions or opposes? Opposed? None? Seeing as my words have failed me, Highway Department report. Bobby, Neil, anything you want to highlight?
Dog park.
Dog park.
Oh, yeah.
Dog park is in
I
progress.
have questions.
Start making.
The dog part is going to be set across the street from this building.
Across the street from here.
Literally right across the street. Working on finishing that up, which is going to be nice. It's going to be pretty basic at first. If more funds magically appear, we'll consider doing some more there. Do you have questions?
I have, not about the dog park, but about, I don't even know if it's for you, but I put the forest in order for everybody.
Yes.
Do we have money specifically set aside,
We have some money in parks.
but not for that park?
No, there's no separate line item in the budget for individual parks.
You wouldn't know
But
that.
we have money in parks. And the notion for the money we put in was so that some would be available for that park.
Okay. So the stuff that's on order is still on back order? The swings and whatever else they order?
Now, it's just like everything else, we've been trying to get a part for a truck for 3 or 4 weeks. Everything takes forever to get through these days.
Okay.
I did finally have a part of my campers 4 months later. I just finally got the start to my campers 4 months later.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
have to ask.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
And the other question is, Ted was concerned that big kids are gonna go on some of the equipment and break it because they have it. So can we just put a sign up that says, rise, or whatever they're called, or for age 12 and under, or something?
And how do you control that?
I don't know, but at least if somebody reads it, I am giving you information and questions that were given to me.
There's eyes around the direction of that.
Is what?
There's eyes. Wow.
So if there's an issue and people report an issue, we can let them figure out what's going on.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Um,
You guys aren't as scary as
I got one more for Neil, Ron.
yeah, go for it.
Hey, Neil, are these log trucks going in and out on Scott Street gonna hinder your paving? I mean, I don't know how long they're gonna be, but I guess they're rolling in and out.
I was told as soon as we pave, they're gonna stop hauling.
Okay,
And the property owner's gonna be SOL.
okay.
So
I just wanted to make sure.
that's
heard
what
they're-
I'm told.
Well, how do you make sure that? Can't delay our process, you know? I don't know what you do, but just wondering. Hopefully they stop like you told me.
Any other questions?
Huh?
Or a weight limit on the street.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm
Well,
asking. I don't know.
Half in the village and half in the town.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
People
yeah.
can't do that.
We only have jurisdiction over part of the road.
Feet, the town wants the rest of it.
Right.
So.
Huh.
Well, I'm just
Andy,
concerned
if
for
we
your
wanted to put a weight
operation.
limit on a road, is that a local law thing?
It is.
Of course it is.
That's actually DOT, isn't it? To the, weight limit.
You probably have to go through the DOT to get the permitted stuff, counting,
Look into it.
counting the weight limits.
We'll look into it. I mean, if we put a limit on our end of the road, which is the only accessible end, it kind of dictates the rest of it.
Just like River Road, you're not supposed to have anything over 18,000, I think. And it's signed, so,
Okay.
but it don't stop you from coming in off of County Street and over to Attack Street.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for Neil? Looking for a motion to approve the highway report?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Bobby and Bobby. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? All right, carries. Sewer departments. Been involved in a lot of work, including helping with some DPW projects. Good income for sludge. Anything you guys want to highlight or ask about?
what's the sewer truck to deliveries for maintenance? That's the old one, obviously.
Yeah, and that's part of their normal budget spending, so that's just something they do on their own. Yep. And another Cap Sewers on Hall Street, they're also involved in all the Woodsbrook stuff. It's literally everybody. Unless you have questions, I'll take a motion to approve the sewer department report.
Motion.
Thank you, Craig.
Second.
Thank you, Bobby. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Alright, carries. And finally, water department reports.
I talked to Jim today, obviously spoke about one thing. The well 7 flushing is scheduled for the 27th of this
Good.
month.
Good.
And yeah, they've also been doing all the water stuff on the Woodsbrook projects.
Yep. Yep.
On Elm Street today.
Awesome. Unless you have any questions for Craig, looking for a motion to approve.
Is any of that, when you say flushing, is that any of that gonna,
That's what
or gonna be
we
like groundwater?
we approved this. They're coming in. They're
This is the cleaning up well
People
7.
need to know about it.
Only
Yeah, and the well 7's off. We're taking everything from well 3, so there won't be any notice of anything going on. Do we have a motion to approve the water? And do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? All right, carries. We have minutes to approve. The first is the August 10th regular meeting minutes. Any comments or questions on those or things you want to change? If not, I'll take the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Craig. And thank you, Bobby. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Carries. And also we have the minutes for the August 24th special meeting, which I was not a part of. Thank you, Bobby, and all who were involved in that.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you, Bobby.
I'll second.
Second, thank you, Bobby. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? All right, carries. I did have someone reach out to me about getting copies of minutes. I'm going to try to get a bunch of these up on the website. So sometime this week, let's get all those PDFs together, some of the more recent minutes, and I'll put them up on the website. We're really behind. I'm really behind on that, so that's not a we, that's a me. Trustee committee reports. We'll go right down the line. Craig, you want to start us off? Anything?
I have nothing additional.
All right, Bobby.
I've got a few things. Craig, I'll speak for him. We talk a lot. Craig, myself, and Denise have been reviewing the American Rescue Plan, where we can spend the funds. And it's a lot, and it's going to take several meetings. We're going to meet again in person very soon, but it's a lot, and I'm sure, Andy, I'll be throwing you a lot of emails. And I think we got, it's going to look all right. It's just going to be a lot of work, so I'm excited. Second, with the railing, I think that's something that we're going to look at maybe with those funds, but the railing's not going to get done this fall. I think
Railings on the bandstand, right?
Right, I think
Okay.
we gotta take a few more bids and take a look at it.
That's fine. I think that's a good idea.
Couple more things, especially to the kids and everybody is unaware, drugs are a bad problem around here. And I was gonna mention it in the thing, but I've seen an overdose myself this weekend. It's reached here, it's in Hoosick Falls. So, you young guys, change it, change everything. And last but not least, I talked to Mike Miller on Iron Coffee. We've got a franchise now. He's opening up
Nice.
this Saturday in Albany with a new Iron Coffee. So we might be
That's awesome.
find that signature after all, right?
That's
Iron
awesome.
Coffee. So I told him I would mention it for everyone. And he will be at the parade as well before he goes to the grand opening.
Nice.
So that about clears it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
I'm not sure I requested it, but Walter would tractor show for October 2nd. I don't think there's anything else going on there.
It's on the calendar.
That's gonna be great.
We haven't done this before, so can we have a motion to approve the use of the park for the tractor show
No.
on October 2nd? Craig? Need a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any discussion? Do you need anything else beside the park for approval from us?
Well, I got the tractor parade at 12 noon, so Bob's aware of that, and I'll
Okay.
work with him on that one.
So we'll make sure the motion reflects that as well for approval.
Too many things happening all at once.
There's a lot of stuff happening right now. Thank you for your work on that. Can we vote on that to approve the use of the park for the tractor show? All in favor?
And the parade.
And the parade.
And the parade.
Aye.
Opposition or abstention?
Abstain?
Great.
And just FYI, that continues an event at the Armory. It used to be the gala, except it's not, except it's in the fall, and it's not like a fancy gala. It's just
Okay.
get together, pussy gala, is that pussy?
Yeah, what's
Is that
that?
the same?
What's that?
So, anyway, it's gonna be a really fun day in everybody.
Can you and Kevin, can you also forward myself and Marie what information you want up on the website? And then Marie will continue throwing things at me until I get it up on the website. Thank you. Anything else, Kevin?
Look, that's it.
That's it. You've been doing all the stuff in the parade's put up. Thank you. Bobby?
I just want to let you know, I'll be doing the court audit, with both Judge Sano and Judge McClellan next week.
Okay.
Holly and I have been going back and forth trying to figure out when, either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night next week, I'll be doing the audit. On the
Okay.
courts. And the report will be done and given to Marie, so we have it on file.
Good. When you come in, you should have Holly show you the work they've been doing downstairs on organizing the files. It's pretty impressive.
Good.
Thank you. Megan? Deb?
Well, you know. Yeah, really. No, I have nothing. I'm gonna say something to find out.
All right. Thank you. Old business. I need to set up this meeting. Can you please make sure I do that this week so that we can start discussing transfer station prices for our next season and any other protocols we need to do. I have a couple meetings I got to set up. So I'm looking for a motion to table this so I can make sure it happens before next meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Bobby and Craig. Any discussion on this besides mocking me for not having the meeting done yet? I'll take it. It's acceptable. All in favor of tabling? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? All right, carries. New business. We've actually done some of this already. We reviewed the Woodsbrook drainage items. The Rogers Avenue water tank grant application. So, trustees, I sent this out to you today. But in speaking with Andy, it's our recommendation that we don't act on this right now. As a reminder, on top of Rogers Avenue, there is a water tank that has been leaking for a long time. The leak is getting worse. It's something that the county has known about, but they've also known that we've been going through a lot of other stuff. We've applied for a grant. We're waiting to hear if we get the grant. The grant was for, I think it was for $1 million with a 25% match, which, by the way, that means that $750,000 of the project, if we get it awarded, will be covered by the state, and we will have to take on the additional $250,000 for the project ourselves. Of course, the flip side of it is if the Rogers Avenue tank fails and is gone, we would have to do it all on our own, which is why grants are still good, even though there's still stuff we have to take on. They recommended that we put out a resolution establishing ourselves as lead agency through seeker, and also adopting a negative declaration. I spoke with Andy about this today. I feel like it would be okay for us to establish ourselves as lead agency, but the resolution is for both lead agency and the negative declaration. And as we discussed, part of the negative declaration is saying that there's no issues with it visually. And we've already had comments from people about concerns about that. So I wanted to have it on the agenda and talk about it, but in speaking with Andy and my own thoughts, we haven't been awarded the grant yet. Perhaps if we got one or both of these done already, it may make things better, but I don't feel comfortable, especially during the negative declaration, because we already have complaints saying people locally aren't comfortable with the plans as they are. So, Andy, did you want to add anything else to that?
Right, and I think it'd be a good idea just to review the record on this. Like, when there are a number of agencies involved in a project, you do need to appropriately coordinate and notice all the agencies. I don't know if Delaware has done that. I presume they have, but I haven't seen the record. We're going to want to make sure the coordination was done before any lead agency is declared. And then, yes, we did discuss in my opinion, to fully comply with SEQA in a project like this, you're looking not only at the limited funding aspect of it, you're looking at the action as a whole, the project as a whole. That means construction, operation of the water tank in that location. I think my recollection was there could have been options for tank height, and those could, I'm not sure those have been presented or discussed by the board, but all those are relevant factors in determining whether there is the potential for any significant adverse environmental impacts, which includes visual or aesthetic impacts. So, looking at all those issues, we thought it might be prudent to at least discuss, but not move forward.
And we've had some conversations on what different options are, and basically the tallest option is the cheapest option. And the lower you go, the more it costs, and that's kind of what we always have to think about. So, my recommendation is to table it until October and get some more information and have a bigger discussion about it. Kevin?
Let's say we do get the grant, what's the process after that? Does it have to be a public hearing again for the,
My recollection is when Delaware presented it, the answer would be yes. There was a public hearing initially prior to the submission of the grant application. And there was also a public hearing in the event the grant is awarded, but prior to construction. That's my recollection.
I also think, I can't remember if we would have to put out for bid companies to do the full work or not, or if they would just naturally do it. I can't remember how that works.
so let's say that all the neighbors up in that area are really mad and they come to the public hearing and we don't like the design, what would happen in that case?
There is still a design phase we have to go through, so
Yeah, I understand
Look at
that.
alternatives and balance that with price and the amount of the grant and the amount of local share.
So they could go back to the drawing board and try to find some alternative.
And again, my recollection
Yes.
of the board's discussion on this previously was there were some options. There was a taller tank at a lower price. There was a lower profile tank, but the cost was increased. And there could be other options as well. I would think as part of the design phase, all those would be reviewed.
Yeah.
Ultimately, a determination made balancing
The-
visual,
Yep.
aesthetics, as well
Yep.
as cost.
I heard they said 30 feet, and I think Neil said that the possibility they could be digging in lower into the ground, and make it less visible as well, and have it
Yeah.
covered.
That was just add to the cost right now. I
Un-
mean, as far as doing it.
unless it's work we can do ourselves to alleviate it.
It's already buried in the ground, probably 10 feet down, the existing thing, so. And if they use that same slab, or they, they take the existing tank offline, then look at the top, there's different ways of attacking the project.
So
I
there's
hate to talk badly about engineers.
To answer a couple questions, we didn't have to have the design locked in to go for the award. We can get the grant and go through the design phase later. We can discuss things further, but as Neil was alluding to, if we do a significant amount of redesign or a significant amount of discussion, that will affect the hourly costs for the engineers, which reduces the money available for the project, and as we've seen in some previous projects.
I mean, I don't live out on that top of the street, but just so people know that once this is, the secret lead is, it's not the end of the road.
Yeah,
Any
there's-
discussion.
It's not, but having said that, we need to know what the action is,
Yeah.
what the project is, in order to determine whether there's any significant, or the potential for significant adverse environmental impact. And there's a difference between analyzing a 30-foot tank as opposed to a lower profile tank.
Right.
That's relevant. So if you even move forward and did a secret determination, presumably it would be on the 30-foot tank that was initially proposed. If there's an amendment to that, you'd have to reopen secret because the project has been
Have you ever
redesigned. So.
seen Secret come back and take any action?
Excuse me?
Have you ever seen Secret come back and take any action?
Seeker come back. I've been involved in a lot of secret litigation where there's been determinations that people don't disagree with, and it ends up in courts. That you haven't taken a hard look at the potential adverse impacts, and we let a court decide. That I've been involved with a lot of secret litigation.
So
So are you looking for a motion to table?
That's what I'm looking for,
I'll make
yes.
a motion to table this.
Thank you, I think everybody, but I'll give it to Craig, since he's louder next to me up here. Any further discussion? All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Alright. Carries, thank you. So I had a proclamation sent to us, and I think I passed this on to the trustees. The proclamations are typically something we don't do. I think the town, Mark, have you guys done proclamations in the past?
We do this one every year.
Oh, you do this one every year. I wonder if we even as a village need to do it if the town is already doing it.
We passed both of these last time.
So you passed both of these? Trustees, so that's the situation. Let me end the slideshow and switch over to the actual mailing. It's a request from the Fort Krilo chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, working to educate the youth and public on matters that focus on historical prevention and patriotism. What they're asking for first is this proclamation naming the week of September 17th to 23rd as Constitution Week. Andy, proclamation versus a resolution and a motion. Do you want to speak just very briefly about how that works in village government law?
Proclamation, it is merely an intent. It carries no legal weight.
Right.
It's simply an intent of aspirational rather than legal.
So trustees, do you want to do this? The town has already approved it. We're in the town, we don't have to do it.
You got my email, so you know.
What's that? Does anybody want to do this or just want to pass on it? Since the town's already done it.
Yes.
I'm fine either way. I'm pro-constitution. People should read it regardless of what we do. You guys? Thoughts?
I'm fine with passing.
You're fine. Do you want to?
I don't care either way, to be honest.
Oh, as in not doing it since the town already did it?
I don't care either way.
The only strong opinion I'm hearing is let's move on. So, do we need to table that, Andy?
No, just determined to take no action.
Okay, we have determined to take no action. Let me go all the way to the end of the slides here. The next item is a resolution for the standard workday for elected and appointed officials. I'm not throwing this one up on the slideshow here, but basically this is a standard form that the New York State local retirement system puts out, and we just have to do one additional.
And before, if I can interject again,
Yeah.
just back on the prior, the record should reflect a determination to take no action, and it was considered as not necessary as the town has already adopted this and the village is located wholly within the town.
Okay.
Got all those words right. All right.
Just make a motion and support this accountant.
We don't need to.
No need to. We're already glad they did it.
You're also town residents as well.
Okay.
Yep.
As village residents.
So this is the resolution. Be it resolved that the village of Hoosick Falls hereby establish the following standard work days for these titles, and will report the officials to the New York State and local retirement based on their record of activities. Do I just read the individual involved on this? Mm-hmm. Okay, and the individual is the elected official Kevin O'Malley, trustee. And let's see here. It will certify that our clerk has compared the foregoing with the original resolution passed by such board at a legally convened meeting held on this date on file in parts as part of the minutes of such meeting, and that same is a true copy thereof and the whole of such original. So I just need someone to introduce this resolution. It's a kind of a clerical thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'll introduce.
With a curious squint. Who would like to second this?
I will.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Is there anything you want to mention? Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Do we need to roll call vote this? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Hey, I'm not sure what we're doing.
It's basically filing things with the local retirement system for a trustee. That's it.
Oh, good. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. That was an easy one. We've already done the discussion regarding a request to modify parking, so we have nothing to act on there. We do need a motion to appoint trustee Deb Alter to be the village's representative officially on the Urswama board.
Motion.
Urswama is the Eastern Rensselaer, oh, I missed it. Eastern Rensselaer County Solid Waste Management Authority.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'll make a motion there now.
Bobby, motion, Bobby second. Further discussion? Please note for the record, Deb is super excited. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Carries. Is there any additional business the trustees would like to bring forward? Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of adjourn?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Thank you very much. Students, if you have forms that you need to have signed, you can come to any of us. I'll do it. Thank you very much.